Well, good afternoon, Carl.
Hello, Michael Kitces. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Things are good. Yeah, super exciting times around here.
Well, I'm excited because I know you always have interesting projects going on. You've got podcasts, you've got like your secret society following of advisors, and I know now you are working on another book. And I was like genuinely curious in front of everyone, as it were, on our podcast audience to ask about what it is that you're working on. Because I know normally like a lot of what you do is for consumers, and a lot of what you've written and created out there we pick up as advisors. Like you make these awesome sketches for consumers, and then I go around the country
Hmm.
and see advisory firms like they have your sketches on the wall
Right,
because it
right.
like it like clients see it and engage with it, and the images are often very powerful. Uh so what are you working on
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
What is the next thing?
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking, of course. So the new book comes out in October, so October 21st.
Okay.
And I have been resisting. It's been 11 years since one page plan came out, and
Okay.
it's not like more than a month that's gone by every month of the last 11 years that like a publisher or an agent or somebody hasn't asked, like, when are you going to write another book? And I'm just like, no, 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 leave me alone. I didn't want to write another book because largely I was like, uh, what do I have to, what's new? There's great books coming out. People have done incredible work. And so I resisted until a couple years ago. And what happened was I kept hearing stories like what you just said.
Yeah.
Advisors have these up on their walls. They have them in the conference room. They have them in the foyer when somebody walks in. Well, there was an advisor in Texas that actually did an actual billboard on the side of the freeway of one of the sketches. Of course, it's in Texas. And I've been hearing these stories for over a decade about them being like starting conversations.
Yep.
And so I started thinking of them as years ago, Hugh MacLeod of Gaping Void fame called conversation grenades. You sort of toss them in a room and conversations break
These
out.
are these are conversation grenades. Well, so I
Yep.
guess I mean I feel like that's an idealized expression about a lot of art. I feel like that we use in
Right.
general, right? Like
Right.
you create something as an artist because you hope it sparks a conversation
Yep. Yep.
as
Love that.
people view it, with the asterisk like you like money related
Right.
conversation
Right. Right.
grenades
Right.
in particular.
Well, and that was sort of like the impetus, like the thing that changed my mind about putting together another book was that it doesn't seem like, pointing out the window, it doesn't seem like it's getting any better out there for people.
Yep.
Like the relationship we have sort of globally, the global anxiety around
Yep.
money doesn't seem to be getting better. And
Yep.
I really believe that good financial advice, good financial decisions happens in conversation, but we didn't have tools to
Mm.
do it. So I was like, what if I put together 101 of my favorite sketches? Could I find a publisher that would do it in a way that felt like
Yeah.
closer, and I'm not calling it this, but closer to a book of poetry than a personal finance book? Like
Okay.
simple, lots of white space, like a purpose-built coffee table book. Someone's supposed to be like handed around and dog-eared and used.
All I can
And
think is like, so you're going to make a book that has fewer words than one of our articles.
yeah, that was the entire
Got it.
goal. If I could have a book. So that's what I ended up doing, was working really hard on every single essay. So there's 101 here. In fact, I'll show you the cover. We can walk through some of these because I know you and I have picked out some of your favorites. So uh, the physical book is 7 by 7, and it's soft cover matte. I mean, every
Was that
detail I
seven by
care
like
about.
that's dimensions, 7 by 7. So
7 inches by 7 inches. So it's
okay.
square, small, inspired a lot by Austin Kleon's Steal Like an Artist, actually.
Okay.
And
So you appropriately stole it
that's
from
exactly
Austin.
right. There's
Okay,
actually
got
going to be it
it.
didn't make it in the first print, but the second print run actually has a dedication that is says exactly that about Austin. And it acknowledges Ron Lieber wrote, has been writing the Your Money column forever. And when I started choosing names, I had a list, and this was one of them. And I asked Ron, and Ron was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, please." So, so that's the cover, and then and I wanted it to feel a little, I don't know, this black spine thing is a little bit like those notebooks you had in school. Do you remember those? There was like a special kind of notebook that you like
You
at
mean like the
school that had a black
composition? I think
spine.
like the
Yeah, like a
composition
composition.
notebook. Yeah,
Yeah. I was trying to capture a bunch of this, like, let's use
it's
it.
well, this is going live in the fall, but we're recording this during back to school season. So
Yeah.
let's just say I've recently been composition book shopping.
Yeah. The feeling I was trying to capture was like, let's use this, right? It's meant to be used. It's not
Yeah.
meant to sit pretty. And then we put together, there's 101 of them, and we can sort of this 10 sections, right? Worked really hard on all the titles. But let's jump in because I know you have we
I've
went through
started
and picked
flipping through.
some.
Like there's some cool
Yeah.
ones in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Well, where would you like to start?
I guess like what you've got here is good. So I guess um so now I feel a couple of this is a podcast that's also a video cast. So those of you who are watching on YouTube see an image on your screen. Those of you who are listening, Carl, you may need to like narrate the picture slightly
Yeah,
here. For
we've
folks who want to see, like go to the show
yeah.
notes on kitces.com. Like we'll have the excerpts materials here. If you find us on YouTube, you can see it there. But as I'm recognizing, we'll need to do a little bit of audio justice
Art
as
on the
best we
radio.
can. Yes,
Yeah, I used to
we're
do
doing
this all
art
the
on the radio
time.
here.
Yeah, with the first two books, I used to do this all the time with NPR. Like, so the description is, and my apologies to any Venn diagram police. Like, I don't know, you don't send me long emails. You know who used to send me great emails about the images is Bill Winterberg.
Yeah,
And he used to send me these, and he was almost always right, and he almost always made the images better. But I don't think he's part of the Venn diagram police. I don't think he cares that much. But so this is a circle sketch, is what I call it. Two
because we're trying
overlap.
not to say Venn diagram. I will say
Yeah,
it looks like a Venn diagram with two circles that partially overlap, and
yeah,
then like the overlapping part is shaded to describe significance of where these things overlap.
yeah. And so this is one circle labeled your money, the other circle labeled your life, and then the overlap is labeled real, and of course, real is underlined, real financial planning. So that's what the sketch is. Um,
So financial planning is the intersection of your money and your life.
yeah, and this was sort of you remember Vicky and Joe's book, Your Money,
Yeah, your money or your life.
or
Or your life. Yes.
I loved that book. Like it was probably other than uh, The Soul of Money, it probably had a bigger impact on me than any book I've read about money, your money or your life.
Well, because their premise is as you work and do things to earn money, you're trading off like bits of your life to get this money thing. So
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
these are good trades.
It was just, I thought it was really well written. It's a cult classic not even a cult classic, it's a classic for a reason. It was super impactful on me, but there was always one little thing that kind of drove me crazy. I couldn't make sense of it. It was the word or.
You don't like the or?
Well, because it paints it as this combat, this I have to choose between.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. And again, believe me, I think they make a compelling argument in that book, and they're probably right. I'm probably wrong. But I'm pointing to like, can we integrate them? And that's what this essay was about. Like, can we integrate our use of, I think real financial planning is actually your use of capital, or in other words, your money, and your life, the integration of the two, right? So that's where this idea came from. What do you think of that?
Well, so I'm grinning as I hear that because right, I can't help but view this through my financial planner professional lens, and I'm just
Yeah.
looking. I'm like, yeah, Carl, all the stuff you said, totally cool. I just want to put this in front of my clients and be like, see, we do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is what I do. Like, I'm helping you connect these things, right? Yes, you can go on the internet or a robo or AI or whatever and like do money things, but
Right.
you're not necessarily
Right.
creating meaningful intersections about your money and your life and your choices and your trade-offs. Like that's where I come in as a financial advisor, right? Or even more simply, like I'm not just a therapist because it's also about your money, and not just your money person because it's also about your life.
Love
Right?
that.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm a
Yeah.
financial planner. And as you said
No.
earlier, I actually really like that uh you said I good good financial decisions happen in conversation.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't even
Like
know
this.
if you don't have a sketch about that, make a sketch about that 'cause I really
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
really
mean,
like that one.
like this one, right? Like, there's a line in the essay, your money isn't something external to life. It's a current flowing through it. The problem isn't money versus life. The problem is forgetting that they're connected.
Hmm.
And I think that idea of alignment really always has resonated with the work that we do, like
Yep.
aligning our use of capital with what's important to us. In other words, aligning our money with
Yep.
our lives. So that
And
that's
I
where that sketch was coming from.
frankly, even when I think about that over the it's like the arc of my years in the business, I feel like it continues to move more that direction. Right? I don't know,
Mm,
I
mm,
maybe it's my own bias of just career journey and evolution, but I do feel like financial planning 25 years ago was a lot more money optimizing,
mm, mm-hmm,
and financial
mm-hmm.
planning today is a lot more life optimizing. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
no,
some of
I
that
think that's
shout
right.
out to George Kinder and kind of infusions of life planning. Though I feel like there's just a broader societal thing that we seem to care more about this intersection and how money and life relates, right? I think that's why like Vicky and Joe's book has this newfound resurgence over the past couple of years.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
fire movement has erupted, right? There's so much out there right now of just rethinkings about the way money overlaps and intersects with our lives besides the
yeah.
traditional, well, I guess per Joe McGilly, you give up your life to earn money so that eventually you can have enough money to get your life back in retirement.
Completely. No, that's really well said. So here, let's move on to another one that we picked out.
But yeah, I just look at this, I'm like, yeah, this is the kind of thing I would put in my lobby to just say like this is what we do. Like
Right, right. That yeah, it's so interesting how often that's done. Here. Okay, here's one. Let's talk about this. This is for our art on the
you're poking the
radio.
robo bear now.
You know what's so fun is after I was done with this essay, I spent almost a day kind of going back and forth with chat about this. So I want to tell you about that experience. It was very cool. But let me describe it first because this is way a lot of what I do, right? Like whenever we choose to simplify something,
Hmm.
we are by definition when you distill or edit, you're leaving stuff out. And this is I would rather be accused of overreaching, right, than being too timid. But this one's a stretch, right? But this was first drawn probably like 8 years ago or 10 years ago before, like we really were just talking about algorithms. We wouldn't have used the word AI. So
Right, right.
to describe it, there's just a like a hand drawn flat line. So it's not perfectly straight, but it's a hand drawn flat line, and that line is labeled advice from an algorithm. And
Right.
what I was trying to capture there was like it's kind of the same. Like advice from an algorithm is
Straight
the
line,
same.
A to
Straight
B.
line. It's easy.
Input
It's
A,
easy.
input A
Yeah.
on the left, get B on the right.
And you can understand why this was, 8, 9 years ago. And then there's another line next to it, which is it starts out as a straight line and then it turns into like a ball of yarn. And then the straight line comes out the other
All,
side.
all twisted and squiggly mess in the
Yeah.
middle.
Yeah. And that one's labeled real life. And in the essay, just said humans don't fit neatly into algorithms, especially this is especially true when it comes to humans and their money. And here's the, so I went and asked so I had drafts of all these because a number of these originated, like part of my process is refining and refining and refining and refining. I just happened to be lucky that one of the places where I got to refine was in front of a lot of people
Hmm.
with that column. And so I had the column and I had drafts and we changed it. We sent it out in newsletter. We got feedback and we tweaked. Well, when I finally had this draft ready, I sent it into chat and I was like, hey, I don't even know if this is true anymore. Like, what do you think? Like, is
Yeah.
this too oversimple? And it actually said to me, this is more important than it's ever been. And it was these lines. Life, markets, and money are messy. Algorithms can analyze patterns brilliantly, but here's the key. They can't make you feel the anxiety of a major investment decision or the pride of achieving a financial goal or the responsibility of providing for your family. Your most powerful financial tool isn't math, it's your humanity. So that it was really quite fun to have like I think that gets at my feelings about AI and money.
Yeah.
Is like it can analyze a bunch of patterns really brilliantly. In fact, maybe you and I have talked about self-driving money. Like I can't wait.
Yeah.
But somebody's still gonna have to tell us where to go,
Right.
right? And that feeling of responsibility of providing for a family or the pride of a financial goal, that's going to be a uniquely human experience.
One and I mean, this is also now just me editorializing about, I guess, both the AI discussion today, but again, so much of it is still paralleled in all the conversations we had about Robo 10 years ago, and
Exactly right.
that didn't disrupt either. Like, yes, if you give me all the inputs and I can do the analysis, great. Technology does the analysis faster and better. I mean, let's face it, like it's not like we're doing the financial plan analysis math in our heads. Like we use tech also to do the
Right.
same, put
Right.
inputs in and get output uh for the client. The challenge very quickly becomes most clients can't give the inputs that clearly. Mr.
Yeah.
or Mrs. Client, on a utility scale, please tell me exactly how much you weight the success of saving for retirement versus saving for your kids' retirement, because my algorithm can perfectly optimize how to split the money between the two if you could only give me a mathematical expression of your utility function. So just like draw it out here on a piece of paper, and then I'll input the utility function in, and it'll go great. Right? That's
Right.
the economist version of how to do it, and
And
it
don't
perfectly
change it.
yeah, and it perfectly mathematically optimizes, except no one knows how to express a utility function as a mathematical output to give the algorithm. And as you know, even if they could, like, then we go do human things like change our minds.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and so that's what that I think that's what I was trying. And this is precisely what I'm hoping, and we'll keep moving because you and I could probably spend an hour on each one of
Yeah, yeah,
these.
yeah.
But that's what I'm sort of hoping is this idea of like, can these act like they have been acting for 15 years? As I think of them two ways. The sketches, I think of them as shortcuts into a conversation. And then I also think of them as souvenirs of the experience somebody had with you. And this is best in the hands of a financial advisor, right?
Right.
So shortcuts and souvenirs. So let me show you another one. And you've
Okay.
seen these because you helped pick them, but we'll pretend like it's a surprise. This one's always been really fun to me. This is just like this was the first time I drew this, it actually had a signpost on it, so it kind of looked like a sign. Like so maybe somebody was carrying like a picket sign, like
Yeah.
or you think of a political sign staked into the ground of your neighbor's yard, and the sign instead of a political slogan says "No shame, no blame." So that's all the sketches. Is it just looks like it's the words "No shame, no blame" with a square around it. That's all it is.
Hmm.
Um, and this was again driven on an experience I had, and I've had more than once, and I'm sure everybody listening's had this experience. But I have a very specific friend in mind when I wrote this, that it was a couple, and there was a financial mistake made. Now we're going on 25 years ago. And every time I
Oh
saw
God.
them, And
It's still coming
especially if
back. It's still coming up.
especially if money came up, for sure. But even if money didn't come up, there was often one spouse saying, geez, if we hadn't have made that mistake, if you hadn't done that, right?
Yeah.
So much shame, so much blame around it. And that was a decade, almost 2 decades ago. And the point of this was really like, look, shame and blame plays no role in financial decisions.
Like I love the like the text that you have in the little essay that goes with this. Shame says you were dumb. Taking responsibility simply says that was dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
difference worth remembering, right? You can take responsibility without being stuck in the shame blame game. But again, like I don't know, I look at all these through the lens of I'm just imagining like having this in the office, putting this in front of clients. I mean, to me, there's a power to putting this in the conference room with the clients. Like, just to be clear, this is a room where we're not here to judge you. We're not here to shame and blame.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about money things, and there's probably some things that are going to come up that in
Yeah.
retrospect you're not so proud that you did. And that's okay because everyone does that. We do have to navigate them to figure out what we're going to do next, but we're not here to judge you for any financial things that have happened in the past. We're
Mm,
not here to
mm,
shame or blame. We're simply here
mm.
to figure out where we're going in the future and how we can help you get there. I mean, that's to me, there's a like power as the advisor to communicate these are the ground rules, these are expectations between me and my clients. And
Right.
perhaps, as you noted, a nice way
Between.
to then bring that in when couples start doing some couple things, like just remind you all we're in the circle of no shame, no blame here.
Right, right, right.
It's
I
not
used
just
to
me to you, it's you two with each other.
I think the first version of that actually was because I used to say to clients, "Hey, let's put on our no shame, no blame hats."
Oh,
And
you
I
have
and I
hats?
actually wanted to go. I actually wanted to
Oh,
go. I never did, but I wanted to go make like a trucker hat with a patch that said "No shame, no blame."
well, you're
Um,
much better. I was thinking like a blue wizard hat for some
no,
reason.
yeah,
That might
yeah. I
just be me.
wonder for some odd reason. Yeah, I think that's really, really
Is
important.
there
And
there was an interesting study. I'm gonna forget now who had done it, worked on the research originally. Uh, but the question was like, you know, what holds back from consumers from hiring a financial advisor? Right? Because
mm,
there's so much inertia, right? All the people that we see are like, you really should have come to me 5, 10 years ago. I could have done so much more. Like what holds consumers back? Or is it, the time it takes, how hard it is to pick advisors were kind of hard to, to discern from one another. And like there was a lot of that in there. And then the number one thing that popped up to the top was I've got shame about prior financial mistakes I've made because basically everybody's got some because humans are human. I've got shame about prior financial mistakes that I've made, and I'm afraid I'm going to be judged.
yeah,
Like not even
I,
as a negative to
yeah,
advisors, just like if I have to walk into a room
human,
and
right?
confess to another human all the dumb things I did,
Yeah.
I'm intrinsically fearful that I will be judged for the things that I've done. And the awesomest way to avoid being judged is to never hire anyone, and then you don't have to have that conversation.
Right, right, right. Yeah, no, super good. Here, let's keep going because I
Yeah.
want to, this is really, really fun for me to see your feedback on this. So this one's called Range of Outcomes, and it basically just looks like a basic, like a relatively simplified version of a Monte Carlo graph. Is that how you describe it?
Oh, I was gonna say this looks exactly to me like a Monte Carlo graph. Wait, but like
Yeah.
if not just if you write 92%, like if you actually have the software graph out like all the different squiggles of all the different paths that it might be, and you chart like all the different Monte Carlo squiggle lines graph, like that's what you get here with this image.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just labeled, left it says now, right side of the piece of paper it would say the future, and there's 8 squiggly lines that vary in their squiggleness, right?
I feel like there's like a subtle Rorschach test thing going on here, right? Where they hold up the abstract prints and say, "What do you see?" And you're like, "I see a butterfly." Like, what do you see? I mean, truly, like this is just a page with a bunch of squiggly lines that kind of move to the right, and a few of them move up to the right. And my response of like, "What do you see?" is a Monte Carlo projection.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly right. This I was trying to get across here because the essay is called Range of Outcomes. This sketch is called Range of Outcomes. And what I was trying to get across was like what we all really want is a straight line from now to the future. Like this beautiful, perfect line. If you could just tell me what the future would look like. But that's not reality. Like reality is there's a whole bunch of range of outcomes and there's probabilities assigned to each one. And I was trying to get all of that. Think of all the nuance that goes into just that idea, right? Down to one simple idea that like and then avoiding trying to kind of start the conversation around avoiding the chasing of certainty. Like be careful of people selling certainty to you.
Yeah,
And then even point out like, hey, this can feel scary, but it could also feel dynamic, full of possibility and exhilarating, right?
yeah,
It could feel like an adventure. So that's what that one was about.
yeah. This one's interesting, man. So I look at the prior ones. I'm like your money, your life, the intersection is real financial planning. Like I want to put that in my lobby.
Right.
Um, no shame, no blame. I want to put that in the conference room. I want to set the
Right.
tone for
Right.
the client meeting. Advice from an algorithm. Real life is messy. It's probably like marketing on my website somewhere.
Right.
Reminder, like this is why
Right.
you're talking to me, a human financial advisor that can relate to all this and not a robo tool. This range of outcomes one, like I struggle with because to me, I mean the essence of this, right? The future is not a clean line, ideally up and to the right. We have this infinite set of potential outcomes. I'm looking at this, I'm going, yes, that's right, you're true. And I'm like having anxiety looking at this graphic because you're reflecting reality to me, but like I still don't want it to be this way. Like this is
It's
aggravating. There's
so
a like self-aggrandizing thing from the financial advisor end of like, well, this is why you hire me because you don't know which of the squiggles you're going to get, and I'll be here with you along the way. I'm like, okay, I can kind of like self-promote that a little bit, but I don't know. Like I look at this, I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to promote this. I just want to send it to a client who's having a really bad day because one of the really unexpected things happened,
yeah.
and just kind of remind them like, unfortunately, this is life sometimes.
Yeah, I think like there are some in here that are very useful tools, they're reminders. There are some that are just meant to start a conversation.
Yeah.
And this is one of those conversations that I think a lot of people have the same experience you did. We just hosted another one of the retreats here at the house last week, and we were talking a lot about this. And one person, her name was Lisa, she said, "I don't like that." Right? Like I know it's correct,
Yeah, I'm saying
but I
I
really don't
know
like it. Yeah, but I
I
really don't
have
like
a
it.
I have a job because it's true.
Yeah,
If
but
it
we
wasn't, it
don't.
would all be straight line. Then like I wouldn't have a lot to talk about because there wouldn't be a lot of uncertainty to navigate and plan around. It would just be now you'd be back to solve the straight line that an algorithm could do. So I mean, there's even a part of me that's like I have a job in part because this,
Yeah,
and it still doesn't feel good.
yeah, I
I don't like
agree,
it
and
for
that was
me, and I feel bad on behalf of my clients.
when I think that's part of the conversation that I really want to keep. I find myself in this conversation maybe more frequently than any other right now around sort of navigating uncertainty and risk. And I was trying to get this across here in the essay there's another way of seeing this infinite range of outcomes. Another way other than scary,
Yeah.
uncertain, and messy. It can feel dynamic. We embrace mystery. Like we read mystery novels because of the mystery. I don't go into the mountains because I know what's going to happen every time,
Right.
right? We welcome surprises. When we go to the art museum, you don't go because you know how you're going to feel.
Okay.
So both some days the future feels scary, on other days it feels exciting. Both are true, both are human. Like just to start
Okay.
having this conversation, right?
So I really feel like this is what I send a client having a bad day about the range of uncertainty in life.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean that
Or
positively, right? There's a like, you know, Mr. or Mrs. Client, you may be in a not great place right now because thing happened and life has thrown you a curveball, but there's another way to look at our range of outcomes, you know,
yeah,
positive, dynamic, full of possibility, exhilarating. Obviously, there's some level of bad, scary stuff that is really serious
happens.
stuff that probably wouldn't be appropriate, but I'm envisioning, oh no, my client has called and they just found out they're getting laid off and income's going
Sure.
to zero and I don't know what I'm going to do next. It's like, hey, let's just maybe come at this from another mindset for a moment. Like, what
Yeah,
could this
especially
turn
after
out
the
to be
hug,
the
right?
positive turning point in your life when you look back
Yeah.
in the future?
And yeah, and especially after the hug of like, yeah, I totally get it. That's scary. But I think some of these are the kind that just kind of sit on the coffee table and simmer a bit and help. So let's go one more because I think we got two or three more. I'm curious about this one. I'll just tell you about
Yeah.
the art behind it. So
Okay.
this one's there's two lines. One's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's labeled days.
And it
So you
basically
imagine
looks like like a
a
volatile stock
daily
market
volatility chart,
chart. Yeah.
a daily volatility chart, and then there's one labeled decades that looks like a 30-year, stock market chart. This one's super interesting to me because I was trying to get across, like, we know you want a way to guarantee your unhappiness, check your account every day. Like 52% or
Yeah.
53 or 54% of the time, you'll be, sorry, 46, let's just call it 40% of the time, you're going to be unhappy if you check your account every day.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I was thinking about when I wrote this. I remember where I was when we were living in London is when I came up with this. So this is relatively new. This was never in the column. And I had first 5 days and 5 decades.
Okay.
And I got a bunch of feedback and it reminded me I never put numbers on these things
Mm.
because it's the moment you put a number, and this is sort of just an
Oh,
editorial thing.
then the
Everybody
people are
wants to
like,
debate.
well,
Yeah.
Carl, I've done an analysis of the rolling returns over 50-year time periods, and your chart
or
is not fully accurate.
Or that's not 5 days. That's all. So as soon as you put, and this is just sort of I don't know, something I've learned. It may be useful to people. If you try to get really clear about what the point is, and then remove anything that distracts. And one of the things that gender will certainly distract, unless it's the point. I don't shy away from a gender thing if it's the point,
Right.
right? Politics will certainly distract. So unless it's the point, avoid it. Religion, and guess what? Numbers. Unless they're the point,
Yeah.
numbers will distract. So that's when I changed this. And I remember exactly the coffee shop I was in London when I took out the iPad and I raced the fives. And it was like, oh my gosh, that's so much better. So much better. Right. So that's the idea behind that one was just like, you want to feel bad? Look at your account every day. And it turns out you have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think about this from the client lens, right? This is the conversation we all have every time markets start getting volatile. Like, right, can we keep the longer term perspective? Let's look at what happens over years, over decades. The average recovery after 3 years is this, or after 30 years is that. Right? It's that work we all do so much of the time of trying to get clients to stay focused on the long term instead of not. This is one that I again for what you have here. I mean the graphic. I'm like, yes, we spend lots of time saying telling clients to do this, asking clients to do this, inviting clients to do this, and some are good at it, and then some are not, and still look too often, and then call and email too often. I like the essay text that you have with this. So again, for those folks who can't see, basically it's graphic on the left, like of these book displays. I'm assuming this is literally like you open the book, it's like left
That's
page, right
exactly right.
page.
That's
So,
exactly right. Yep.
little left page is the graphic, little right page is like a what just a one page snippet essay, poem, whatever you want to call
Super
it.
short,
Right?
super
Yeah, like
short essay.
super
Yep. Yep.
short. It fits on one 7 inch by 7 inch page, right? So it's a handful of lines. And this one kind of highlights, Warren Buffett's shocking admission. Benign neglect bordering on sloth remains the hallmark of our investment process.
So crazy. Every time I hear it, I'm like, that is so crazy.
Right? Some call it lazy. I call it focusing on decades. Remember, you always have a choice, days or decades.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really fun. Yeah, a lot of I've heard Jason Zweig say, so whatever that's been 30 years he's been writing that column at the Wall Street Journal. I've heard him say my job is basically to say the same thing in new ways over and over and over. Like,
I've
and I
had
think
heard
that's
say I heard Bert say a version of that as well. I figure I say the same thing over and over in different ways in a way that my editor doesn't notice.
exactly that's exactly yeah,
The
I think
version I heard.
that's even better. That's even better. Okay, here, let's share it. Let's talk about the last
All
one.
right, I would say, do we have time for one more?
Yeah, this is
Let's
the
squeeze in
last
one
one.
more.
This is all in an excerpt, by the way, that for all of the listeners, if you email hello@behaviorgap.com, we will send you this excerpt. So everything you've seen on the
Okay.
screen so far, we put together specifically for this experience. So this is all in that excerpt. So this is less wrong tomorrow. So tell me, you try to describe, tell me what you want to talk about here.
Well, I mean, first thing is we got to describe it. Um, so there's so there's a squiggly line that moves up and to the right. Maybe roughly think of it like we're charting client's progress towards something. It says current reality at the lower left and goal at the upper right, but it's not a straight line getting there, and it's not like a total yarn ball of craziness getting there. It's a wavy line, like it's moving in a sine wave, like a sound wave up and down. And the closer you get to the goal, the narrower the waves get, right? You're like, I mean, you think of a wave dissipating and the bumps get smaller and smaller. So you're moving from lower left to upper right in this wavy thing. And as you get closer and closer, the waves are getting smaller and you're like attenuating in on the goal.
Love that. I love that you managed to get the word attenuating into that description. That was perfect.
Was that intended? Is that the point
I
here?
love it. No, no. I mean, what
Carl,
I
draw attenuating.
I've always thought about this is like when I this one is probably the most commonly used image by advisors. And just to be clear
Oh,
here,
really? I
yeah,
didn't know. Oh, because I guess you like have all these available as artwork, so you can literally
yeah.
measure like what
Well,
do we
yeah, and
buy
it's
and
the one
put
I
up on our
hear the
walls?
most because it's like the easiest to describe. And by the way, I didn't feel free to draw these yourself. Like it doesn't. I don't care if you buy the. I mean, yes, of course I care if you buy the book, but like the point here isn't buy the book. The point is have more meaningful conversations with clients. This one is one that people use all the time because what you do is you start with current reality. You write current reality down the bottom. You talk about what it means to. How do we get clear about where you are today? This is the process of navigating a complex adaptive environment. The first step is get clear about where you are. So let's talk about that. Well, yeah, it looks like a balance sheet, an income statement. Oh, turns out there's a bunch of feelings inside that balance sheet. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. So we talk about that, and then we say, okay, where is it that you think you want to go? And we start using language like just guess, like it's okay, it doesn't need to be precise. And then you say, and my job is to draw you a line to get there, and you draw this straight line between the two.
Mhm.
And then you say, and I'm going to do the best in the world. In fact, this is partially what the essay is about, is like I live in a town where there's lots of pilots. And I've
Okay.
met a fair number of them. And I always ask them, how often do you have a detailed flight plan? And they say every single flight.
Right. Right.
So like that straight line is the detailed flight plan. And guess what? This audience is the
Right.
best line drawers in the world. So
Mhm.
that's all that's on the piece of paper so far with the client or on the whiteboard.
Yep.
is current reality goal with a straight line. And you're like, guess
Yep.
what? I'm super good at this. I got the biggest computers. I'm going to Kitces it to death. I will draw this perfect straight
Ooh.
line.
Can you actually
Yeah,
use that as a verb? I'm good with that.
I've been using this as a verb all over the world lately. People,
Fantastic.
yeah. So I'm going to Kitces it to death. We will draw a straight line. It's the best line ever. And then you get to say, and guess what?
Yeah.
And it will be wrong. It'll look more like this. And then you draw this sine wave over the top of it. And then you get to circle. And on the people who are watching, I'm using them. Can you see the cursor?
Yeah, I can see your
Yeah.
cursor on the video.
You know,
Yeah.
it's these peaks where I will be the most valuable, right? It's these course
Mhm.
corrections where I'll be the most valuable. And the punchline is financial planning is not about being precisely correct today.
Yeah.
It's about being a little less wrong tomorrow.
So it's funny. I know you have it framed as less wrong tomorrow, right? And I mean the
Mm,
whole nature of the wave being really broad and kind of narrowing in amplitude over time is you're honing in on your goal the same way that like the pilot makes mid-course flight adjustments to get to where they're going. But like from the advisor, and I don't look at this and think less wrong tomorrow because I don't really want to say I was more wrong yesterday or anything. Uh like I just look at this and think, look, life's going to do uncertain things to
mm,
you.
mm,
Me with you on the path is why we're narrowing and honing in over
mm.
time. I
Love
suppose
that.
in some parts it's why I feel better about this one than the one we did a few slides back about the range of outcomes.
Mm,
Because I mean they're both basically expressions of the same thing. You think life's going to go from here to there, and instead it gets messy and does all these squiggly
mm,
things. But the range of outcomes finishes, the end is more diffuse than the beginning, right? Because like the Monte
right,
Carlo paths can go on lots of different veins. This one, it doesn't get more diffuse as time goes on. It hones into the goal
right.
as time goes on, which I almost there's a part of me that feels like my job is to make the range of outcomes not look like two slides ago where life just happens and you find out wherever you're going to land across these range of outcomes in the future.
Mm, mm.
My job is as you identify what the goals are that you want to go after, I'm going to help you make the mid-course adjustments that it takes to get there.
That's really well said. I love that. I spent a whole, it seems like I spent like a 5, 6, 7 year period thinking about what you just put, the inverse of that chart. Because, we always talk about risk decrease, like we talk about risk decreasing over time when we talk about investments. But in terms of uncorrected terminal value, the range is actually it's broadening every year, of
Right.
course, right? Right? Because of
Yep.
uncorrected terminal value. I've always thought about like we have that idea that like risk goes down over time. Well, yeah, if we talk about volatility of an investment,
Yep.
but if we're talking about the range of potential outcomes of your life uncorrected,
Yep.
right? Your
Well,
risk actually widens.
right. Well, to your example earlier, if I fly from DC to San Francisco and the flight plan's 1 degree off, like I think I
Yeah.
land in Los Angeles instead. I
Right, 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 right.
Someone with piloting background can correct
Alaska.
um my compass adjustments there. But I mean, just when you fly a couple thousand miles from east to west, 1 degree off in your direction produces a wildly missed target at the end. It hardly seems like it's a big deal at the beginning
Right,
when you're
right.
taking off and you fly the first 100 miles, but by the time you
Yeah.
get to the other side of the country, it's like, oh, I am very far from where I was supposed to be.
Yeah, and I think that's the really important piece that we're trying to get across in these conversations is that financial planning. I think this is one of the you and I've lived through the time when and it's still more common than I wish. Not among our audience, that's for sure, but still more common that like a financial plan is thought of as a one-time event
Yeah.
or a product that we sell you and then it acts as a doorstop. And I think that's where a lot of some of the dissatisfaction
Yeah.
with financial planning came from was like this never turned out the way. Well, of course it did. Like think of like how many
Yep.
beautiful life insurance illustrations have you seen? I mean, I've seen a lot of really
Yep.
beautiful ones. I've
Yep.
never seen one work out the way it was illustrated. So it's the process, the ongoing financial planning. A financial plan is worthless without the ongoing process of planning.
So we should wrap up. We are already even
Yep.
a little bit longer than our
Yeah.
usual episode here. Although I appreciate getting to go through and peek at a lot of the sketches that are coming. So I guess just a reminder again. So for folks who want a copy of these, it's email hello@behaviorgap.com.
Or wherever else we say in the show notes. But yeah,
Okay.
if let's just hello, just so we can take care of it. You email and put advisor in the subject line, and we'll send you this. And the last page of it has a, a QR code for bulk purchases with an additional 5% off. So it's more
Okay.
than it
So if
ends
you
up
want
being.
to,
Yeah.
coffee table this for your office or coffee or send it as a coffee table book for a lot of clients to read
Yeah.
and ponder.
It's all there. And if all you do is use these seven to have better conversations, please do it. Like that's the whole point.
Have better conversations by launching grenades.
Precisely. Precisely.
Fantastic.
Cheers, Michael.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay, bye.